Hello, everybody. Welcome to Take the Black Live, the show where myself, Dan Selke of WintersComing.net, Cheryl Watson, OurCultures.com, talk all things Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, fantasy fiction, etc. We've been gone for a couple of weeks, Cheryl, due to Thanksgiving and other technical difficulties, but we're back. And I'm very happy to be back and talk with you all about all this news, because quite frankly, quite a lot happened while we were gone.
It's true. We've got a lot to catch up on.
Let's say hello. We got Kenny, we got Sue, hello Joshua, Julie, hey Julie.
Cheers,
Lisa,
everyone.
Steven, Renee, it's good as, Linda, Dan. It's good to see all of you guys again. Okay, and if you notice, we're drinking something. We are drinking, courtesy of HBO, the King in the North Royal Reserve Collection Belgian-aged Imperial Stout at 11% alcohol by volume. We are going to have a lot of fun by the end of the show.
We're going to sip slowly.
Well, speak for yourself. Cheers to moderation. Ugh.
That's
nice. You
that
don't
is
like
a
it?
stout.
It is a little syrupy.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I like this one.
Bit like having a meal. You almost have to chew your beer here.
The Imperial Stout, King of the North Imperial Stout. Shoot, chomp down.
Yeah. I have to say I do prefer Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, but
That's the best one, I think.
that is the best one.
I do enjoy this one, though. I didn't like the Daenerys one very
Daenerys
much.
one was all right, but like the fact that I sniff this one and start coughing, like that tells me a lot about whether or not I'm gonna like this beer. It's got a very hefty aftertaste kick for me.
It's some heaviness.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to get right into it.
Yes.
We got to go with first things first. We know when Game of Thrones Season 8 is going to premiere. Kind of.
Ooh. Yay!
HBO went halfway. They announced a premiere month.
Yes, they did.
Not a date. They pronounced April 2019. Game of Thrones Season 8 debuts. Let's drink to that. All right. April 2019.
Woo!
Woo! And that is... by the way, I want to point out that we predicted, back when we were talking about this, either the April 21st or the 28th Sunday. So I think we can take credit and say that we maintained our privilege. And
We've cracked the code.
I would ask you to drink to this, but to our being right, but you don't have to if you don't want to. I drink to that.
I will drink in spirit.
Okay,
For
great.
you.
I'm really enjoying this beer, but apparently we were split on that.
It's okay. It's okay to have different opinions. Jen.
Exactly. Linda says cheers. I agree. Okay, so April, about what we expected, right?
Yes.
I mean, not a huge surprise. Makes perfect sense. It's the spring. It's consistent with the other stuff. They've also started the promotional campaign. We are sure this final season they're going to spare no expense. They've been releasing these group of posters right over there. Hashtag for the throne, highlighting some moments in our characters' lives that were rather intense. So the gimmick is, they're releasing these moments from the lives of characters, what they did on their way to getting power. And it doesn't quite work, like, for everything. Like, I don't know, there's Arya standing in a room full of dead Freys.
But she's
which
not
is,
going for the throne.
Yeah, it's like a big moment for her, but it shouldn't do it for power exactly. It should do it
Yeah.
for revenge, whatever. But, I mean, that is the hashtag they're going with. What do you think of the promotional campaign? Are you hashtag for the throne excited?
I am absolutely excited. I like the idea of the campaign, and honestly, who really doesn't want to have a picture of Daenerys Targaryen eating a horse's heart, like hanging
great.
above your bed? Like, I feel like that would just really tie a room together, you know?
I do love that
Iconic.
they've chosen like a moment like that. Like it's objectively unflattering in a way, but like let's put it on a bus.
It's hardcore. Daenerys
kinda
Targaryen is hardcore, you guys.
It's fun. Kenny says he has Vikings starting tonight, which he does. Vikings is on tonight. A good holdover until Game of Thrones. Can't complain about that.
I mean, Cultures has a full list of shows to watch if you like Game of Thrones.
Oh, very
Just
nice.
saying, you know.
Cultures.com?
Cultures.com.
The place for woman-centered and everybody-centered television on the internet.
Yeah.
Cool. So
That's where I'm on, Cultures.com.
It's a little weird for me because last season's hashtag was winter is here. And I figure I would have flipped the hashtags, right? So like for the throne back when Jon, Dany, and Cersei are all kind of fighting for it. And then winter is here now when the Night King's broken through the walls coming for everybody. I mean, I have to
It's
agree.
not. It's not. You're not wrong. I mean, I feel like the big thing. Yeah, actually, no. You are actually correct here, and I agree with you.
All right.
I was trying to think of
drink to
some
it?
sort of counter argument just for kicks and giggles, but I did not think of a counter argument for kicks and giggles. But
Kicks and
yeah,
giggles.
I agree with you. I think that especially because Winter is Coming is the first
Yes.
first is the first season, and all
Bookends.
yeah.
I love bookends.
That's why I'm pretty sure the first episode of season 8 is going to be named Winter is Here. And when
see
they
it.
announce that title, I'm just gonna tweet all over the place like, haha, called it, suckers. And I can point to these videos as evidence that I called it.
We get a whole article predicting the episode titles. Our first episode.
At winteriscoming.net?
Wintercoming.net. You play for Game of Thrones starters on the internet. Winterfell.
That's a good one.
I think that because they're all gathering there. That's my idea.
Okay, that's not bad.
And then we're all agreed that the final episode will be called A Dream of Spring, right? Like, there's no way it couldn't be.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, we're also talking about The Last Kingdom in here. Another great show to watch if you're looking for somebody to tide you over to Game of Thrones. Have you ever seen that? A great Netflix
I've
show?
not, actually.
It's really good. Last Kingdom is this kind of medieval drama. It's a
into
lot
it.
like Game of Thrones, minus the zombies and the dragons. No fantasy elements.
Aw.
But still intense paganism, and they all believe in fantasy elements, which makes it still fun.
Yeah, I finally got through the second season of Castlevania, so recently.
Oh. Really quick. What'd you think? Like, really, really fast.
I actually really liked it. I watched all of it in a day.
You disappointed me. I was not
Sorry.
a fan of it. But
Sorry,
that's
you hate,
not.
I'm
That's,
sorry
that's
you
kinda
hate
here nor there.
vampires.
We should do a video for nobody where we discuss it.
We should. But yes, I think that you are right in the promotional campaign aspect of it, but I also like the fact that they're just like, here's Daenerys Targaryen eating a bloody heart. Remember this, guys?
Yes, I love it.
That's kind of great.
Can
I
we
appreciate
drink really fast to me being right?
I'll take a tiny sip for you.
Okay, we'll sip to me being right. Ah, smooth. This is, again, King in the North, Belgian Aged Imperial Stout. I'm a fan. Not all of us are fans, but
okay.
if you see it in the store, you could do a lot worse. Unless you are in Cheryl's camp, in which case, maybe stick to the Cersei, what was it? Like,
It's like a wit beer.
blonde ale, I think.
It's like
something
a
that.
Belgian wit beer, yeah. Which
But
is
yeah.
what I usually drink anyway.
I'm good. And Kenny, I have not watched Into the Badlands. Watched Into the Badlands?
No, but I have desire to.
Okay, we'll get to it.
But there's a lot of TV.
Okay,
Sorry.
moving on to the next bit of news.
Please do.
So we have to talk about this really quickly. I said a while ago that the how I would know Game of Thrones is over is when Kit Harington cut his hair. It's like a Samson thing. And it finally happened. He was out and about in a brand new haircut that didn't look anything like Jon Snow. And it was a moment for me. It was just, okay, there he is.
Is he like on stage?
He is.
Okay.
I did chose an unflattering picture of him in costume.
He kind of looks like a serial
And
killer.
he does. He has a bit of, that's like a Gacy-esque mug he's rocking there. Our writer, David, on WinterComing.net said he looks like an angry gym teacher.
No, he's a math teacher, though.
Yes, he does look like a math teacher there. Now I just see serial killer. He's a
Sorry.
serial killer who teaches math in the day. That's him on stage in a play called True West, a Sam Shepard play in London. But it's gone, people. The Jon Snow locks are gone, and in their place is a 70s porn stash. Linda does not like it. Oh, Linda, are you saying that you don't like the Badlands or Kit Harington's new hairstyle? Oh, mustache needs to go. She does not like it. I don't like it either, Linda. It seems like a betrayal. And no, it's not. I mean, the show's over. He can do whatever he wants. But
His body, his choice, but...
his body, his choice. His facial hair, his choice. It's just, it is a bit of a moment. I mean, for better or worse, hair is very closely associated with all these people. Daenerys' iconic silver locks. And yeah, Jon Snow's luxurious Pantene Provine, full body and health hairstyle is something that we all have grown to know and appreciate. And it's just gone.
No more product needed.
Well, I mean, he still has hair, but...
Yeah, less product needed.
So, I just wanted to talk about that for a second, just get it out there. I don't really have anything to say about it. Do you?
I mean, I could start humming taps for you if you really need me to.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Burr, 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 burr.
One for me and one for the hair.
Pouring it out. for a true G. Kit Harington's hair. All right.
So that's that.
That's that. Oh, that
And
is very
everybody
that.
out there, just a moment of silence. Just have a quick moment of silence for the hair. Everybody, no comments. And we're done.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. We got to talk a little bit about the latest book release from George R.R. Martin that is not The Winds of Winter, Fire and Blood.
Yes.
New book from George R.R. Martin, Song of Ice and Fire author, all about the history of the Targaryen dynasty. You haven't read any of it yet, right?
No.
Okay, I did read a bit. I've read a lot of the reviews. You know, it's so the discussion here is it worth your time? Everybody watching, or if anybody out there has read it, let us know. I like it. I've enjoyed what I've read. It is definitely, as we've been told, it is not a novel. It does not read like a novel. It is just not at all. It reads like what it is. It is a fake history book written by a fake historian going over fake history and just kind of recounting the events. So this happened in this year, and that happened in the next year. And for me, it was a bit jarring at first, but after I got used to it, it was kind of fun. Like, it's very fast-paced because you don't have to, like, dwell on what everyone was wearing that day or eating in that particular meal. It just, like, goes, this happened, and that happened, and that happened. And the characters he draws are pretty interesting, like these kind of old Targaryen kings and queens. It is very, very different, though. And, I mean, I can see how if somebody bought this book thinking they were going to get a Song of Ice and Fire-like experience, even if they knew it wasn't Song of Ice and Fire, that they'd be disappointed. But if you go into it thinking, okay, it's a bit of an interesting side story, you might enjoy it. Is that something you might be interested in, Cheryl?
I would definitely be interested in reading it. Mm-hmm. Like, I enjoy the Targaryens, she says, sitting in front of a Targaryen banner.
It's true.
And Dan just toasted again for those who listen on our podcast. But I enjoy the idea and I would like to read it. I just have about a quadrillion other things to read right now.
Sure.
We're actually reading the Book of Swords for my book club next month.
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm very excited about that.
Cheryl reads so freaking much, people. You can see her desk is just piled high with books.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I have a Fortress of Solitude made entirely of books. So I am intrigued by the idea, and I'm glad to hear that it is at least interesting, if not
it's a fun read.
Exactly what you may have been expecting. That pours so slowly. It's practically viscous.
It's like more of a Jell-O than a beer.
A little bit.
But hey, I'm into it.
But someone's into it at least.
People here bought it. Renee bought it. Julie's going to get around to reading it. Alexander B. Helm, 380 pages in, loving it. So, yeah, we like it.
How long is it? Like 500?
Like 700.
Whoa!
Like around there, or I think like closer to 900. Let's say 800 and split the difference.
Lots of pages.
A lot of it is stuff that was just literally already published in the world of Ice and Fire. Which is part of the reason why it's weird to people like, he should be working on Winds of Winter. Well, it's like, dude, he wrote not a whole lot of new stuff for this.
Get that money, George.
Get that money.
Get that money.
Make
it.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because George R. R. Martin is obvious. He's been doing an interview blitz, which is very rare for him.
It's true.
About Fire and Blood, and it's interesting the reviews for it. Like the way they break down is pretty much there are a bunch of reviews that the whole subtext the entire time is this isn't the Winds of Winter, and I'm mad about that. There are reviews that honestly don't like the style, that are like, it's not, I don't know, like who this is for. It's like not a novel. It's just kind of a weird fake history book. And real history is boring enough, like that kind of thing. I disagree with that, but I see their point. And then there are a few who are mostly like fantasy heads, like the people at Tor gave it a review, who are all about fantasy books. And they were really into it. And, oh, thank you. Let's see. Oh. We have a message from Kayla Knierim, the former co-host, and I'm going to try to read this, although it's a little... Oh, Kayla wants to know if Kit Harington cheated on Rose Leslie.
He denied those rumors.
Did you hear about this?
He denied those rumors, didn't he?
Really fast, because we have a request from our old co-host, Kayla Knierim.
Hi,
we have
Kayla.
to answer this. Okay, Kayla, what happened is this. These photos emerged of Kit Harington in a compromised state. Did you hear about this?
I just saw the headlines that he denied the
Right.
rumors.
Posted by a Russian woman. Basically, from what I saw, those photos are from years ago. Like, you can tell if you look at them, and I will confess, after I heard about it, I was like, I'm kind of curious. And I may have looked them up. They are not current. They are from years back, before he was engaged, before he was married, from what I can tell, and that seems consistent. So, no, Kayla, who, by the way, thanks for watching. Hope you're doing well. How are you? We can't really talk here. If you can comment, tell me. I hear you're doing well in LA. I've heard some stuff. But no, those are from years ago. So Kit Harington did not cheat on Rose Leslie, so far as I can tell, not being intimately involved with their marriage.
Love is not dead. Hopefully.
Love is not dead.
Hopefully. Okay.
What were we talking about before this happened?
Fire and Blood, George R.R. Martin interviews.
Okay, great.
And how people are mad that it's not the Winds of Winter.
And Linda and Julie, loving the Kayla stuff. It is good to hear from her. Thanks, Kayla. Liking it. All right. Right, okay. Fire and Blood. What the hell are we talking about?
Interviews, George R.R. Martin.
Interviews, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, the reviews. We're kind of divided there.
Yeah.
George R. Martin's giving a lot of interviews talking about... He sounds like he's kind of flagellating himself over his failure to finish the book a bit. And I don't know about you, but I mean, I read that and I kind of felt bad for him. And he's now said that or it was revealed that he is in and I'm quoting here from, I think, the Wall Street Journal article, in a mountain hideaway, writing the book, kind of sequestering himself.
I'm of two minds on this.
Okay, real quick.
Okay, as quick as I can. So my first mind one is basically everyone's been kind of a jerk to George R.R. Martin for years.
Right.
About this.
Sure.
Mind two is he knew this was coming and he's always been kind of a slow writer, and he's definitely slowed his pace as he has gotten older. And I cannot be mad at him for that. But at the same time, my dude, you knew this was coming. And so I sympathize with him. Like, I feel bad for him. But at the same time, I'm also just kind of like, but you knew this was coming.
He did.
You know?
But I mean, I don't know. I read that stuff and it feels like it's a situation where you're like a kid and you do something bad and then your parents are like, I'm not going to punish you. You've already punished yourself enough. Like, that's kind of what I feel when I read this stuff.
Yeah.
He sounds really regretful about it.
I mean, this isn't like an anime where you can produce like 100 filler episodes before the mangaka comes up with the next chapters of the story. Not that I have intimate experience with that.
I don't think you did.
I definitely do. Naruto's filler
Okay.
is insane. The point of this, like, this isn't the kind of medium where there's always the luxury of time.
It is very true. Like, you have a deadline, you gotta meet it.
Yeah.
I mean, part of me just feels like we've talked about this so often.
I know.
I mean, it is what it is. It'll be out when it's out. We'll see. And in the meantime, if you're interested, Fire and Blood, I think, is a fun read. I'm enjoying it. And if it's something you're interested in, go out.
Dan Selke's seal of approval.
Yeah, let's drink to that. I'm starting to feel this. This is 11% alcohol by volume.
And yet he keeps going, folks.
Well, it's good. Okay.
Live your best life, Dan. All right. What is left? We
All
have
right.
to go
Finally,
from fire to ice, beyond the wall?
Yeah, let's go beyond the wall for a second. Talk about something unrelated to Game of Thrones, because, you know, we have interests. Although this one is still kind of Game of Thrones tangential. Let's do a quick rundown of a big movie going to hit in December starring Game of Thrones alumnus Jason Momoa as a superhero. Aquaman is coming. Jason Momoa, called Drogo, Game of Thrones, starring as Aquaman. Going to hit theaters December 21st. He's going to host SNL. That'll be fun. So they're trying to, they're trying to build buzz for it.
Is it December 14 or December 21?
The movie is December 21st.
Okay.
I looked that up.
Okay.
I wrote it down. I can't remember it now, but I wrote it down. There he is.
Poor
Looking
Dan.
pretty good. Okay, so I guess my question to you is Aquaman. Can the power of Jason Momoa and talking to fish make this movie something that can buoy DC's flagging fortunes? Is this going to be a Wonder Woman type hit or a Justice League style flop?
Well, early reception to the movie is actually quite good for the most part.
Okay.
A lot of people are calling it wild and fun and kind of goofy.
Oh, what good words.
And I'm all about that aesthetic because those things very much describe Jason Momoa's public persona.
They really do, don't they?
They really do. Like, this man once threw axes on Jimmy Kimmel while drinking a Guinness. Like,
I'll drink to that.
he has a commitment. He is committed to being completely bonkers pretty much every time he shows up, and I'm very into it. And I like the idea that they're going with Aquaman. I feel like
just because it's a...
I feel like the challenge of it makes it a better movie. I think one critic posted something along the lines of, y'all just better not commit to like Batman and Superman for like 5 or 6 years. Just go with the completely off the wall heroes.
That's a good idea. I like that.
It is.
Like that
I'm
angle.
so tired of Batman.
Like why try to like do that big event thing when you haven't like built the momentum yet?
Yeah, you've got a whole pile of wild. Go into the pile of wild. Just let Jason Momoa talk to fish. Okay.
King talks to fish. That's what I'm calling him.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I actually was like on the fence. Like I wasn't sure if I was going to see it. Like sure if I had the time or whatever. What tipped me, the reason I want to see it now is because I read that there is a giant fish monster in the movie called the Carathan, and it is voiced by none other than the great Julie Andrews.
Dame Julie Andrews,
Mary Poppins, Sound of Music, is now a huge freaking fish monster. I don't know why. And I'm like, you know what? Jason Momoa's fun. The movie looks interesting. Aquaman's a trip. And now Julie Andrews is a fish monster? Fine. I will see you, movie.
That's pretty great.
You got me. Also, I love that it's opening opposite Mary Poppins Returns, right? With Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins.
Uh-huh.
So in a weird way, it's kind of like a battle of Mary Poppinses.
Yes. You reached for that.
I don't think I did.
A little bit, because the fish monster is not very prominent in the film.
Julie Andrews is Mary Poppins. And
But
she
Mary
does not have a
Poppins.
cameo in the Returns movie.
No, she does not.
And I will be seeing Aquaman over Mary Poppins Returns because I'm an old school Mary Poppins fan, and I only go for the old kind.
Some hot Mary Poppins opinions in here today.
Exactly.
I wasn't expecting this, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. Honestly, I'll probably see Aquaman over Mary Poppins Returns too, just because Mary Poppins Returns, like, I appreciate it.
I might see it too. That's kind of good.
I appreciate it, but really what I'm looking for in my December movie going is just Jason Momoa on a large screen swimming around and being Aquaman. And
He does have some screen presence, that guy. I mean, like,
does.
He just looks good on camera.
I've sat through 2 seasons of Frontier for Jason
Oh,
Momoa.
God, you did? You poor girl.
That's right.
Well, good for you.
First 2 seasons. It's like a car wreck.
Before you go,
Yes,
can we
dear.
sip to your suffering?
Maybe it'll help me forget.
All right, really quick, some comment appraisals.
Yes.
People are still talking about. Thank you, Kayla, for writing in again because you have sort of some discussions about the pictures, and like I said, as my understanding, they are from a while ago. And yeah, folks seem hopeful about Aquaman, like Steven, hopeful about Aquaman. Not gonna hold my breath. Is that a pun, Steven? Hold my breath. Water themed. I don't know.
It was great if it was, and even if it wasn't, it's still
But
great.
very helpful. And now I think we should. Oh, graphics and CGI will be better, but that's about it in my opinion. Oh, that's about the Mary Poppins thing. I see. Steven thinks it won't hold a candle to the original, and I kind of agree. I'm not sure how it could, but we'll see. I don't know. Anyway, anything else you want to say, Cheryl, before we head on out?
Nope. Other than I hope I can walk to my desk.
11%.
11% by volume, guys.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. It's good to be back, guys. We'll be back next,
Yes.
and Cheryl will be back next week for more of this. And now let's bring on Joshua Hill for A Song of Dan and Josh. And while he moseys on over, if you don't know, we have you can head out. Don't worry.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just gonna blabber at this.
Making sure.
We have a thing called the Wit Club going on over on our Patreon page. We have a commercial that runs here sometime. Right now, we're holding a caption contest at the Wit Club to give away this Iron Throne themed Christmas ornament right in time for the holidays. If you're interested, head over to the Wit Club. We got information on winteriscoming.net about it. We got to write a caption to a hilarious still from the television show Game of Thrones. We'll judge it. If we think it's the best one, you win an Iron Throne ornament. Consider it. Could be fun. Could be a good time. All right, and more information on the Wit Club is available at winteriscoming.net. And here I am with Joshua Hill, Josh Hill.
Hello.
Your name is Joshua, right?
Yes.
Like the full name?
It is.
Okay. Some people were laughing when I called you Joshua Hill. Like, that's his name, probably. Okay.
Well,
hey, Josh.
hello, everybody.
I haven't seen you in a while here at
been a
Take the
while.
Black Live.
It's been a minute.
A Song of Ben and Josh, the show where we, Josh Hill and I, go over every chapter of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, chapter by chapter.
That's right.
Breaking them apart, breaking them down. What makes them work? What makes them not work? Why are they good? Why are they not good? What makes them tick? We are on the second to last chapter of A Game of Thrones, the first book in the saga.
Yep.
Catelyn 9, right there. Josh, do you want any beer?
No, I'm okay right now. I hear it's very strong. You were giving it a
strong.
very good endorsement, though. So
You
I feel like
always
people
make me
should
feel
go
like
out
a
and
drunk,
get
like everybody else does.
some King in the North. This is always good. I do like it when they. Do you think that they're going to continue coming out with Game of Thrones beer after the show's over? They should.
They had like a plan to make 4. Like these are
Okay.
the Royal Reserve Collection. This is the final one.
Okay.
They had a Daenerys themed one, a Tyrion themed one, a Cersei themed one, and finally a Jon Snow themed one. And I don't want to get confrontational, but I feel like whenever we drink, I always drink the most, and I always leave feeling like I shouldn't have done that. So I wish other people drank more.
It's well afternoon here, though. So it would be different if we
Yeah,
were doing
so
this at like 9 in the
chunk
morning.
some of it.
So I should just drink it straight out of the bottle.
You should. I encourage that.
Let's do it.
People say hi, by the way. Julie says hi. Linda says
hi.
hi, Josh. Linda says bye, Cheryl. Oh, and Renee has that ornament. Very nice.
Very
if anybody else wants it, Wit Club, caption contest. Have a good time. Okay, so we are talking about the second to last chapter of Game of Thrones, Catelyn 9. Well, why don't you just go away with it, Josh? What happens in this chapter, basically?
A lot of more politicking, more table setting for
A lot more table setting,
for the sequels. We have this big thing about, we get Ramsay Bolton comes into play. We got Renly. We've got Joffrey. There's a whole confrontation here about. Mainly, the thing is, Catelyn is coming to terms with Ned's dead. Mm-hmm. We've got to deal with this now because she's all of a sudden there's a power vacuum in the north.
Yes.
How is this going to get filled? Who is the rightful heir to the throne? Who's the rightful heir to be the king in the north? This is this whole thing, and I didn't dislike the chapter, but it reminded me of a couple of chapters before. We were talking about how it kind of felt like the last 15 minutes of the second movie in a trilogy, where you're like, okay, this isn't final. We're clearly we're window dressing for what's going to come next. I didn't dislike it, but I couldn't disassociate that from it. I was like, okay, I didn't rush myself through it. I was like, all right, let's go. Let's just kind of.
I completely hear you. This chapter it's just Catelyn and Robb at Winterfell. Mm-hmm. Just the heart of the chapter is this discussion in the hall, right? Of what do we do now?
Yep.
And you're right. It does feel very interstitial, but there is stuff to dig into.
Yeah.
Like I said, so the heart of the chapter is this discussion in the Great Hall about, okay, we've won some battles. We're fighting the Lannisters. Robb is kind of leading this ragtag army of Northerners and people from the Riverlands. Mm-hmm. Where do we go from here? And there are a bunch of arguments put forth.
Yeah.
People suggest different things. Like one dude, Mark Piper. I don't know who he is.
Could you imagine being in Game of Thrones and you're like, oh, I'm going to get this really badass, awesome name, and you're Mark Piper. It's like,
well, it fell with a Q, M-A-R-Q. Does that help?
That's like, that's
insult to injury.
Yeah, that's
no
not
drinks. There
you go, Mark Piper.
Okay, so he suggests joining Renly.
Yeah.
He wants, okay, we're fighting the Lannisters. This Renly guy has declared himself king. Let's join with him. We can join forces. We can beat the Lannisters if we combine forces. Robb rejects this argument.
Yeah.
Why does he reject it? You recall?
He thinks it's not a good idea.
Yeah, but why?
You tell me, Dan.
Okay, I will. Okay, so Robb basically says, so the suggestion is bend the knee to Renly. Renly's declared himself king. Bend the knee to him, join him, and we'll clean house. And Robb is like, Renly's not the rightful king. Stannis is the rightful king. Which is, by the way, exactly the reason Ned would not help Renly. When he asked Ned, he was like, you're not the king, dude. You have an older brother. He's the king. And what's interesting about that is that we have the exact same conflict that Ned went through, which is this means versus end thing.
Yeah.
Like, we all agree that we want to get rid of the Lannisters. We want Joffrey off the throne, that we want to, get rid of this terrible ruler who executed Robb's dad and is just an all-around jackass. But there's people like Mark Piper who are saying, okay, so we want that. Let's bend the knee to this dude and do it. But Robb, exactly like his father, is very concerned with doing things the right way. Like, he's like, yeah, that would help, but it's not done according to the rules. Renly's not the king, so we cannot bend the knee to a guy who isn't the king. Which is interesting, because as we know, Robb will meet this kind of the same fate as his father. He'll end up dead at the Red Wedding. And we see him kind of making Ned's mistakes here, or at least invoking their spirit.
Yeah.
He does not want to do something that is outside the bounds of what is done. Like, I could bend the knee to this guy who says he's the king, but the rules don't say he's the king, and I play by the rules. So I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. And it is a little ironic that that's the route that Ned went. It's almost fitting in a way.
It's exactly. I mean, again, like, Renly approached him and was like, help me. And he's like, no, you're not the king. I can't. You're not playing according to the rules.
No, and it's kind of nice that the book bookends on the idea that the Starks are so loyal to following the rules, that they are so rules, by the book.
Love it.
That it's not just the undoing of one of them, it's the undoing of, unbeknownst to us at the time, but like, as we know, like you said, the Red Wedding, it's the undoing of the entire family. They're trying to play by the rules.
Completely.
Everybody goes down because they're trying to play by the rules, with the exception of Jon, who is not a Stark. So that's how that works out. So, and then Arya,
and he does go down, Jon, eventually, because he plays by the rules.
He does.
He just gets lucky and has like a necromancer near him to
and the one and the two children who don't play by the rules. Well, Arya doesn't play by the rules to begin with.
Sansa gets there.
Sansa gets there just in time, and I think with her, it's an example of it's the rule of thirds type of thing where you. With her, you're like, oh God, this is going to happen again. I can't believe this. And then she snaps out of it right away. Whereas Arya, straight from the jump, isn't going to play by the rules. And it's no surprise that she's one of the most interesting characters and she's a badass. So, and then you have Jon, who's not a Stark, and still, because of the tutelage, goes down the same path. He
totally
eventually
does.
follows the rules. So it's almost like this rule following is a disease, and I have to wonder what George R.R. Martin thinks about authority and following the rules.
Yeah.
If all of the characters that play it by the book end up getting killed in very violent ways. Like, it is not subtle to get your head chopped off. It is not subtle the way the Red Wedding happens. But these are the people that play the rules, and this is the price they pay.
No, I think you're totally right. I think, there could be a great PhD thesis on what they say about authority. George R. R. Martin definitely seems like he is not committed to the means are all that matter.
No.
He definitely, if we're to read A Song of Ice and Fire, George R. R. Martin's statement on political philosophy, he is okay with being extra rule guy occasionally.
Yeah.
Like, you should not follow the rules all the time, because if you do, look what happens. Okay,
you'll literally get your head cut off.
So Mark Piper's suggestion isn't the only suggestion that comes up. Catelyn, who, by the way, Julie says that Catelyn wants to be king in the North. I disagree, Julie.
Interesting.
Because Catelyn makes the suggestion in this chapter.
Yeah.
Her idea is, let's have peace. She makes a case. She's like, I wrote something down. Wow. Okay, she's like, I will mourn for Ned until the end of my days, but I must think of the living. If I must trade our 4 Lannisters for Arya and Sansa, I will call that a bargain and thank the gods. Basically, she's like, we've lost, they've lost, let's get Arya and Sansa back, trade the Lannister prisoners we've taken in these last few battles, and just go back to the North and just try to live our freaking lives. That's her pitch. Is that wisdom? Should Robert listen to that?
It's not a bad idea, but my question to you is, do you think it would have worked? And I don't think it would have, because you can't trust people in Westeros to do the right thing, and that's almost a playing it by the book type of thing. It's a lazy out. where this is a hard decision that needs to be made. And she's like, well, let's just choose peace. Let's take another easy way out, which opens them up to getting walked over. Because you give the Lannister prisoners back. You think the Lannisters are going to say, thank you, it's peace.
They want to make an exchange. She wants to give Lannister prisoners back in exchange for the Stark prisoners. For
They
Arya
do,
and
but it's a
Sansa.
mistake trusting that that would lead to some sort of peace. That would lead to that wouldn't lead to somebody saying, "Oh, I'm going to take advantage of this," which is ultimately what would happen. Because we've seen examples of that through the entire book of one thing being proposed, and it seems like the right thing, even when it's not a by the book thing like Ned does, and we have a complete backlash. It completely backfires because somebody else is like, there's a loophole in this. I'm going to take advantage for myself. It's the little finger thing. Like there's always a little finger in a situation. So you do this, there's literally a little finger in this situation who can screw this all up. So while the idea of peace is nice, I don't think it's plausible. Something would happen.
That's perfectly fine. So you like the rest of that room is not really on board Catelyn's peace train.
No, in theory, but not in execution.
Sure, because she suggests it, and everyone is like, no. They're all like, we got to get revenge. Let's do it. Like, no one is into that. Mm-hmm. And she has this moment where she's like she's thinking like, well, I tried. And she just like sits down. Like, they're not going to listen now. Oh, we're all so screwed. Which, I mean, again, they are, eventually, we know they are screwed.
Yes.
So what solution do they come up with? They don't take either of those options. They don't do peace, and they don't bend the knee to Renly. No. Instead, should I just say this, or can you tell me what ends up happening?
Spoil it for everybody. Go for it.
Okay. The solution they come up with, I believe, suggested, I've got to suggest it, declare Robb the king in the north. They're not going to bend the knee to Renly. We don't like that king. They're not going to have peace. There's been too much bad blood. Mm-hmm. So the one dude, I forget who it is it Karstark? Stands up and just says, you know what, I'm not going to bend my knee to this guy or that guy. I'll bend my knee to Robb. Mm-hmm. He's been a good leader. King of the North. They had this whole, it's actually very much like the King of the North scene from the show with Jon Snow. Mm-hmm. I mean, which is interesting because in the books, Robb's King of the North scene happens in like a forest mm-hmm. where they're like at a camp and they all just kind of rally and raise their fists and whatnot. And here it happens in the River Run in a great hall, which is kind of like how it happens in Game of Thrones, the show. Mm-hmm. So what did you think of that move? That was very rousingly written.
It was, and it goes back to the whole window dressing thing. It's not a bad suggestion, as we've come to find out. I forgot this at the time when I was reading it, and you routinely reminded me of this when we're talking about it afterwards, but Robb's a teenager. He's like 15 or something like that.
Robb is young.
So the idea that the best plan you can come up with is let's make the teenager king in the north, whether or not he's the rightful heir or not, is an interesting choice to me.
Well, I mean, how about the teenager stuff? I mean, he is 15 in fake medieval times. Yeah. So it's like, 15 back then is more like 25 now or whatever. And they had different times.
Different times.
But I mean, it is also a compromise between the two suggestions. Like, they don't want peace because they're all too angry, and they don't want to bend the knee to Renly because apparently that's against the rules. So, fine. We're kings now. Basically, they're seceding from the Union, is what this is. Mm-hmm. They're saying the North is independent, the North shall rise again, and that's what we're going to do. And, I mean, as written, I think it's pretty inspiring. And it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a Shakespeare, Braveheart type rah-rah, all right moment. In hindsight, we know it all ends spectacularly badly.
Very badly, yes.
But in the moment, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I did get the Braveheart-esque type of rah-rahness from it. But, yeah, it's hard not to read it and know what's happening afterwards. Like, perhaps if you were coming in fresh, I'd have a different perspective of it. Knowing that it all ends literally in the worst possible way it kind of puts a little damper on the moment.
But because isn't it like in stories, like you're trained to like this guy, to like the guy who's going to be the leader of the people.
Yeah.
Isn't going to
He's rising
take
up.
It.
Yeah.
He's rising up. He's not going to take the big
to the
king
man.
smacking you down. He's going to topple the evil tyrant.
Yeah.
He's going to win. Like, we're supposed to be behind that person, and we are. Mm-hmm. Just the twist is when that person doesn't do anything he intends to do and dies. But that's in a couple of books.
Violent death.
Right. The other bits of this chapter are like that's like I think the reason this chapter exists is to give us that King of the North scene for Rob, because that's huge in the next couple of books. The ancillary stuff is fun though too. This is Catelyn returning to her childhood home of River Run. Okay, my first question for you is, are you interested? And as Julie says, they love a good chant, which is very true.
Yeah, that's true.
The Northerners can't get enough of chanting. Are you into all the architectural dorkiness that George R.R. Martin throws around? So River Run, he goes into some detail about how it's built. It's a triangle castle. It's surrounded by rivers on all sides. It has this ability to kind of, through a system of dams, flood all the area around it. So it's basically in a lake. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like movies that go into gun porn a bit, or that like love talking about the intricacies of gunplay. Or the like Fast and the Furious movies where they're talking about like how many horsepowers the thing gets. Like all the carburetors. George R. Martin loves this kind of the machinery of the military detail kind of stuff. Are you interested in this?
I wasn't interested in it, but it didn't put me off, because at this point he's well established that if there's an opportunity to go over the top and explaining something very minute, he's gonna just pounce on that opportunity. Whether it was in the opening chapter where we're talking about the billowing capes and the types of leather and cloth and all of this stuff, and and sometimes it works too, like when he's describing Tyrion and the big helmet in the big battle. Like it works at certain times. You just kind of come to assume that he's going to do it, and it's part of the magic at this point. Like you're like, okay, we're going to go in depth on this. He's earned the trust that it's going somewhere. He's explaining this for a reason. Like whether it's he's explaining the mythology of the world, the fantastical nature of the world, kind of in an assumed way. We liked that, so I take it in that vein where he's like, okay, this is going somewhere. There's a reason he's doing this. He's not just, it's not architecture porn for him. It's there's something here.
That's true. I hear you, and I mean there is a reason, because this is a strategic castle that will be important in various points. King of the North ale, very stout, really nice.
It's a rousing review.
Okay, really quick. So just this chapter, in addition to being like this choosing spectacle, is Catelyn's homecoming. She's coming home, and there are some nice little understated affecting passages about, like, she hasn't been here since she was a little girl, since she was shipped off to the north to marry this weird Ned Stark guy. And she says things like, the splash and rumble of the great water wheel was a sound from her girlhood that brought a sad smile to Catelyn's face. I'll admit it's harder to read now that I've had a bit of this delicious stout.
The delicious stout.
And talking about laying in things that are important, she is remembering her girlhood, and she says like some ancillary stuff. She also talks about how she and her sister Lysa like basically lost their kissing virginity playing doctor with Littlefinger when he was fostered here.
Of course, it's Littlefinger.
Well, yeah, naturally. I mean, that's where he developed his lifelong crush on Catelyn. But it's also very important because we know that Littlefinger and Lysa, that Lysa gets all obsessed with him, and that's the reason he kind of has her in his pocket.
Yeah.
And then it goes up to that scene where he pushes her through the moon door, and that'll be fun. It's a good time.
It's classic.
It is classic. So, and that's set up here. Like, but he's planting the seed of, Lysa and Littlefinger had a thing going back in the day, and now we'll see later how that developed off screen for years, and it ends up being a plot point.
Yeah. And that's why, like, these chapters, when he goes into detail like this and he explains things in an assumed way, or it's like offhand, it works, because it's like, oh, I should know this. The way that you're describing this to me, this is a nugget of information that I feel like I should already know. It's out there. It's not like it's out there. Yeah. It's not a big revelation where it's like, and then Littlefinger stole their kissing virginity or whatever. And it's like,
it's not phrased like that. It's
I know,
just
but it's funny phrasing. But it's not this big reveal, whereas that's the main part of the chapter. It's just a little nugget tucked away in this chapter. Yeah, of other little nuggets just tucked away. So that's why the window dressing didn't necessarily put me off. I recognized it, but it's a hard thing to that's why I like the first Justice League movie or Batman versus Superman was garbage because it was window dressing for the first Justice League movie. But they're like, no, you're seeing a Batman movie and it's got Superman in it. It's like, no, I'm actually seeing a commercial, a 2-hour commercial I paid $12.50 for the movie that's coming out in 2 years. This is an opportunity for him to set up more books, and he's not really using it in that same way where you're getting valuable information out of this. You are getting things that move the story forward. You're not getting these little teases where you're like, what the hell? And then it just goes away. Or you're like, oh, that's a forced cameo. Like the end of the new Harry Potter movie. I'm not going to spoil it if nobody's seen it. But like everybody's talking about these spoilers that are tucked in at the end, and it feels like fan service. There's no fan service at this point, so obviously you can't do that. And I like it when you can approach a chapter where you need to set things up, and it's very apparent that you're setting things up for the next, like, we're not going to get resolved or resolution
for like
for
2
this.
books.
Yeah, we're not getting resolution in the next 25 pages from this. It's going to be books from now. And to be able to do that and keep you intrigued and not feel like it's a sellout chapter, I think that's impressive.
No, I do too. I completely agree with you. I think it's great because, I mean, like, it's a chapter about her remembering what to do as a young person. So it totally works, just like she's remembering her stuff. But the trick of it is, with George R.R. Martin, you never know, like, what is incidental detail and what's important setup. Because he just kind of slips everything right in there. And it all just kind of flows pretty naturally. And he just slips a really important detail in there, but you would never know. Because it's just part of the flow.
Yeah.
Which is great, because it feels more true to life, which I like.
Yeah.
Okay, beyond that, we get some Catelyn, character stuff. I liked her description of her ailing father.
Yep.
I'm going to read it really fast before we go, because I thought it was affecting. Her father is just, toward the end, he's getting senile. And Hoster Tully had always been a big man, tall and broad in his youth, portly as he grew older. Now he seemed shrunken, the muscle and meat melted off his bones. Even his face sagged. The last time Catelyn had seen him, his hair and beard had been brown, well streaked with gray. Now they had gone white as snow. And just, a nice little carefully observed detail that I think can apply to anybody who's watched a grandparent or a parent or an aunt or an uncle kind of, go. It happens. And just lets you know that even if they live in fake medieval times, they can still be relatable to people now.
Yeah. It's timeless.
Anything else you want to mention about this chapter, Josh?
No. But we got one more left. So.
We only have one more left in Game of Thrones. The final Daenerys chapter. It's
been a long
last
journey.
chapter. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've had a good time.
It is. I'm ready for the next books.
Yeah,
it's nice that we don't have to actually wait for him to write it because it seems like that's a hell of a thing to wait for.
Yeah,
based on everybody's current wait for the next book. But
hopefully, by the time we get through our series, it'll be out.
Yeah,
let's do that. Really, really fast vocabulary. Really, really quick. Do you know what a thwart means?
No.
A cross.
Oh.
All right, you got it. That's it. Your new vocabulary word for the day is a thwart.
A thwart.
It means a cross.
Use that one in
conversation. It's a stupid way to say a cross. If you want to say it in a dumb way, no one will understand. All right. Next week, we go over the final chapter in A Game of Thrones, the final Daenerys chapter. It's a good chapter. She gets her freaking dragons.
Yeah.
That'll be a good time. Thank you to HBO for giving me King in the North Stout. I've enjoyed that quite a bit. Thank you for Cheryl Wassenaar for lending her expertise. Thank you for all of you who watched, of course. It's going to be back. I've missed you guys for a while. And thanks to Josh Hill for more Song of Dan and Josh. Right. Cheers, Josh.
Cheers.
For myself.
There it is.
See you guys next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Central on the Winter's Green Facebook page. Adios.